Shepard.
Thanks. I just have one. We've been in conversation about a tiny home shelter on Cornwall Street. And in December, we had approved that for use during the time period consistent with the public health emergency. And in our conversations with the potential provider, it's been challenging for them to make the investment in ramping up all the infrastructure needed and to feel like they have sufficient time to get residents into those tiny homes and really succeed in their mission of trying to not keep people in tiny homes, but to transition them out into permanent housing. And the feedback we've received is that they need a little bit longer security of knowing that they could utilize the property. So I'd like to propose that we give them a year from whenever they are able to begin commencement of occupancy to give them some of that security and to allow that transition of individuals through their system and into permanent housing.
Commissioners, the only thing I would add to that is I'm going to be meeting with the mayor of Bellingham this week to talk about the city's role in this. We're going to need their help on the utilities. We're going to need their help on the Laurel Street right-of-way, which they control. We would like to include that right-of-way as part of this effort.
I have a question of clarity, Michael. Or Commissioner Shepard, can you clarify for me the time frame? So I believe you said a year from the time they can, was it permits you said?
Oh, I said a year from when they start occupancy. So when they actually have people in there utilizing the property.
The permitting and the construction process on this should be pretty quick, Commissioners. It's a pretty simple process. HomesNOW has it down. Doug Gustafson has a team of people that'll come in. So I don't suspect we're dealing with years long of permitting and construction. We're talking more like 30, 60 days.
So do we have a sunset on anything as to, I mean, if they don't do something here and they don't do something here and they don't do something here, pretty soon we're a year out, and then their year starts at that year out. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't want this to happen, Commissioner Shepard. I just want to make sure that we don't have one of these things that keeps rolling down the road, and then we're down the road a year and a half, and oh gee, we've got something to do with this stuff in a year, but they're going to be, I mean, do you understand what I'm saying? I don't see the.
Yeah.
And we can account for that, Commissioners. We can certainly put something in the agreement between HomesNOW and the port that gives them a date that they have to have permits and start construction. And if they don't, then they forfeit the property.
I mean, I don't want to put a lot of pressure on, but I also don't want to have us pressured on the other end too much with an open-ended program. So if we can figure that out to where we're not open-ended out to 2-3 years, whatever it ends up at, because I believe when we talked about this, we had a time frame, and I understand how things go and it takes longer to do stuff, but I also have to think about the public interest on the other end. That if and for when, who knows, the property was needed or something that we're not 3 years down the road before we can get to it. So that's my only concern. Other than that, what you asked for, Michael, I'm fine.
Okay. Yeah, it's certainly my intention to make this used as soon as possible. I think we approved it, and I've been frustrated that it hasn't been utilized because we continue to have challenge of people being homeless. And I appreciate that Rob has kind of decided that we could either keep waiting or we could just take this under our own devices. And so Rob's really, I think, stepped up a lot and helped these negotiations along and gotten us to a point where we're pretty close to being able to move forward.
Well, I spent some time with Doug, and I'm actually going to take a tour tomorrow morning of his village, and I'm surprised at how philosophically aligned Doug and I are on an approach. This is a perfect fit for and a perfect solution. I'm particularly struck by the way he utilizes people and lifts them up instead of just giving handouts. He's actually rebuilding lives in the process. I'm a big fan, and I'm fully supportive of your motion, Michael, and I've got nothing else to add. Unless you guys want to come tour with me at morning, 8 o'clock.
I have
Do we need-
already toured myself, and I encourage anyone else to. He's made this available to any elected official and members of the public to see the Swift Haven at Jerry Field and see the one in Fairhaven. They're clean, they're well run, they're quiet, and just what you said, Commissioner Bell, they have the residents taking a lot of ownership for the operation of the site, which not only saves a lot of money, but gives people something valuable to do with their time.
Well, and just a personal note, I've seen his approach work, and this may be the most valuable thing we do on the port because we are actually going to save some lives. And every day a life can be saved or some sobriety can be achieved by somebody who's an addict is a day gained, and time is the most precious thing we have. So I am supportive of this, and I would, if you made that a motion.
I don't believe that was a motion, Commission. Was it a motion?
It was a motion.
Sorry.
Would you like to repeat it so we can vote on it?
Sure. I would like to motion that we extend the timeline for utilization of the Cornwall site for a year from the commencement of operation.
I will second that motion. Commissioner Briscoe?
Can we add there's got to be a sunset at some point. I don't want to do an open-ended thing.
We'll put a parameters, and again, commissioners, this has to come back to you for approval. I don't have the authority to do this on my own with just this motion. It'd have to be a little more detailed agreement. So we'll be coming back to you with a written agreement between us and HomesNOW. And Commissioner Briscoe, I'll assure you that we will put something in there that guarantees a construction start and completion date.
Very good. And so we can go ahead, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yes. Commissioner Shepard's a yes, and I would assume.
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Bell
I
is-
second the motion, and yes.
and Commissioner Bell is a yes. All three yeses. Any other business, Commissioner Shepard?
That is it for me. Thank you.
Mr. Briscoe?
You go ahead. I'm still thinking.
That's my trick.
Well, I pulled it on you.
I've got 3 if you want more time.